What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Mic Check podcast. This is your host, T Word, the People's Champ, checking in with a little ringside. We're going to talk about boxing today and former two-time unified heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua, aka AJ. He's seeking a trainer at the moment. He recently made a trainer change before his rematch with unified heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk, bringing in Robert Garcia to try and help him regain his title. Unfortunately, they came up short in the rematch, and now AJ is on the hunt for a new trainer. So he's been seen in different gyms all over the United States, including he visited with Ronnie Shields. He's also recently visited with Derek James, who trains Errol Spence Jr., Frank Martin, and Jamel Charlo. I find that to be important because you have three different fighters that all have different skill sets, and Derek James has been able to use this level of expertise to help all of them achieve, high levels. Obviously, he's been with Errol Spence the longest. They're three belt unified champions right now. Jamel Charlo was able to earn multiple belts under his tutelage, eventually becoming undisputed champion. And Frank Martin has aligned himself into a WBA title eliminator fight. So he's got some guys on a good trend. So him visiting with Derek James, and according to DJ, it was just a visit. It's just passing through. But um, it's good that he's taking a look at different people that have technical skills. My issue with AJ in particular visiting with Derek James is that the thing that he needs the most, I don't believe that there's really a trainer that can instill that in him. I want to use an example of what I mean. So I'm going to drift over to football and talk about a particular player, former NFL tight end Jimmy Graham. He played for my favorite team, the New Orleans Saints, and by all accounts, Jimmy Graham was the man. He was a matchup nightmare for safeties. Linebackers couldn't keep up with him. Cornerbacks would struggle every now and then, except for the big physical guys, and that's an important thing. Keep that in the back of your mind. But for the most part, you put him out there, run him up the seams. He's going to just catch the jump ball, former basketball player. He had all the physical gifts and a little bit of speed, and he could be dangerous against the defense. But the Seattle Seahawks figured out if you get into his head and you get physical with him and you rough him up, he'll shrivel in the spotlight, shrink into a corner, and you could take advantage of him, and he basically gets eliminated from the game plan. You just take him out of his game. It seems like Anthony Joshua suffers from the same ailment, I guess you could say. And I don't want to say that he's a coward. There's no cowards in boxing, but I think he lacks that toughness that athletes tend to have. They call it biting down, where you bite down on your mouthpiece and you grit and you give it all you got to come back at the guy across the ring from you. I don't feel like he has that within him. And I think that that's going to be a struggle for any trainer. You can't reset a grown man. You can't put that in somebody. It's just like they try to use the comparison with Spence and Crawford, Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. One guy had a pretty well upbringing, and the other guy came from the streets, and you just can't instill that toughness from the streets. I agree with that, but you could still have some people just have a mean, nasty demeanor, and I think that both Errol and Terrence have that. When you look at AJ, he just seems like a really nice guy, and nice guys don't typically have the dog. Every now and then you'll see somebody that they're like super cool, and then when it's time to go, they turn that switch on. He just doesn't have that switch. And Jimmy Graham didn't have that switch. You just couldn't bring the dog out of him. I like to call them front runners because when they're able to take advantage and they've got all the tools and advantages in their head, they're going to coast to a victory. But when you put another dog, when you put somebody that has that dog in front of them, you see them kind of shrink back or they just concede victory to the other side. And we saw that against Usyk both times with AJ. I feel like he had a couple good fights. He gave it all he had. But the fact of the matter is, when he really needed to just impose his will and just be a bully, it's like he didn't have that in his arsenal. When you think of somebody like Deontay Wilder, Deontay Wilder is like the nicest dude ever in between fights. But that week of the fight and those press conferences and in the ring, he is a nasty, mean individual. This is a preacher's kid, but when he gets in the ring, he has that switch. This man came from a pretty good upbringing as far as parenting and stuff, and he still has that switch. So it's not always your background. Sometimes if it's just not in you, it's just not in you. Tyson Fury comes from a little bit more trouble background, but he's had his dad around and stuff like that. But he's nasty in the ring. He'll do whatever it takes to win. And Anthony Joshua just doesn't seem to have that. So it's really hard to predict who he'll pick as a trainer because I don't know that there's somebody that could motivate him to become the animal that he needs to be to continue his career from here. He's already getting a little long in the tooth. He's already been to the mountaintop as a two-time unified champion. So if all of those things can't motivate you to become a beast in the ring, what's left? He doesn't have true beef with anybody, so it's not like there's a vendetta motivating him like Deontay Wilder. You know, deep inside of him, even though he might say he's moving on from Tyson Fury, he wants that get back, and deep down inside, he thinks that he can beat him. And I just think that Anthony Joshua just doesn't possess that. I don't see him fighting Usyk for a third time, even if he was mandated, because I think he's conceded the win. So in terms of his trainer search, I'm not sure what will come of that. Some other famous trainer changes before we go. Floyd Mayweather went back and forth between his uncle Roger and his dad Floyd Sr. And he learned a lot. I think their different styles created a monster of a fighter. One made him super defensive and extended his career. The other made him pretty boy and able to take the fight to his opponents. And all those things together helped him in his later years when his skills slowed down, but he still understood the game so well. You think about Emmanuel Stewart with Lennox Lewis, another trainer change that was very impactful on a fighter's career. Finally, Jermell Charlo with Derrick James. Jermell was such a technical boxer, but he didn't really have the KOs like that when he got to the higher level. When he got with Derrick James, you all of a sudden saw a guy who could take you out at any minute. He knew how to set you up and then give you the kill shot. And that's something pretty amazing. So, on that note, I just want you guys to think about that. Who could be the best fit for AJ as his trainer? Please leave that down in the comments. This has been the Mic Check Podcast. I am T Word, the People's Champ. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Until the next time, peace.